I'd like to, I'm a board member of Bridge New South Wales and the chair of the Clubs and Community Committee. I'm so pleased to see you all here, and it's so good to see engagement and growing levels of enthusiasm with our Bridge community. It's just fantastic. We're here for a soft launch of our new Bridge New South Wales website, and Jake will explain what that is to you shortly. So we're here to give you a tour of the current site and to receive your comments and suggestions. Now, the building of this site's been some years in the making and has been the work of a great many hardworking volunteers. It's really easy to forget that a big part of the work done in our state body is done completely for free, for a lot of people who do a lot of work for nothing. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge the volunteers on our standing committees, the events committees, the directors committee, the club and community committee, and the education committee for the wonderful work they put into writing the content of this new site. And also a little thanks to a couple of paid volunteers because they don't get nearly enough money for the amount of hours they put in, and that's Jake and Dave. Thank you very much. So now on to the tour, and Jake.
Thank you. Just to clarify that I'm not actually paid, Glenda.
Oh, in that case,
for a while,
I'm not a paid
but not anymore.
volunteer. I was paid to do the restructure, nothing since then.
In that case, an extremely hardworking volunteer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again. Just to clarify the purpose of today's meeting, there are really four things. One is to give all of you as key stakeholders awareness about this change. The second is to encourage feedback about the approach we've taken, if there's anything urgent or some sort of problem. The third is to get your assistance to be able to help review. So if you go to the site and actually have a look and you find anything that's wrong, we would love to hear. And then fourthly, so that you all understand the plans about what's going on. Many of you represent a lot of the big clubs around the state. It'd be very helpful if you could share this information with the clubs, your own club and other clubs. So firstly, just to show you, hold on a moment. Okay, you can all see my screen, I'm guessing. Yep. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Okay. So this is the current website. This website has been the website of the NSWBA for about 25 years. And we have to have an enormous thank you to Pauline Gumby, who's done an incredible job of running the site for that time. It's run on pretty old technology. She has really used every tool in the box to be able to keep it up to date and relevant. And the community owes her an enormous thank you for her outstanding contribution to be able to do that for so many years. However, this website is now 25 years old, as I mentioned. It's well past its use-by date. The technology that it is based on is no longer supported. And Pauline's powers can't really triumph over this technological advancement we've had. It also has a number of security and privacy vulnerabilities that we don't like, that we're wanting to address. The NSWBA, long before the restructure, agreed to build a new site. And that was for the new site for the NSWBA, not Bridge New South Wales. That was not yet even thought of. And a lot of work was done on that by Rakesh Kumar for a good couple of years. And Rakesh only handed over the sort of working version of the new site to me about 6 months ago. So the first reason for change is this need for technological change. The second is really around the strategic thinking for Bridge New South Wales. The old site, as you can see, and I'm sure many of you know, has a great deal of emphasis around tournaments, state representative events, Monday night events, and somewhat to do with winning. We think all of that still matters and we still have to continue that. But Bridge New South Wales is developing a new strategy. Our focus is very much on growing the whole community, helping all clubs grow, and also developing the community in key areas like directing, teaching. That's the second reason we need to change. The third is really having a branding, an image update. The organisation started in July. That's Bridge New South Wales. We needed new colours, fonts, and a new kind of image to help move on the game. And the project scope and costs have included all the branding or rebranding for Bridge New South Wales. The fourth thing that we needed to do is improve usability. This current site is not mobile or tablet friendly. A vast majority of visits on most sites occur on mobile and tablet. I suspect that would probably be the case in the Bridge community, but I think people have also learned to generally go to the site on a desktop because that's the only place it really works all that effectively. The other thing that's here is that the font is pretty small, and that's been necessitated by trying to get all this information that exists on this page. I can understand why that's the case, but the small font is really not all that good for an aging demographic, and we need to figure out how to tackle that. So to reflect this technology reason, our strategic change, update of the image, and improve the usability, we've built a very different looking new site. We've had to really rethink the design for that, and what information we have, how we structure that, and how it actually appears to the whole community. That's quite a tall order. I've worked on building a lot of new websites, and that's a pretty big amount of change. The added complexities here is having a micro budget and then needing to work with a lot of volunteers, many of whom have never worked on a website before. A lot of that is not really obvious of exactly how to do that. So without further ado, here to show you the new website. So this looks very different to the old one. This is the new homepage. Some content still needs to be uploaded here, and that's why we're giving you a soft launch of this. The hard launch, the sort of more official launch, will actually be early in January when some additional work is completed. The starting point of this website was, as I mentioned, the work that the NSWPA had done with Rakesh. But since then, many, many months have gone on this year, and we owe a huge thank you to the board, the council, the committees, all of which are volunteers, as Glenda had mentioned. We've also had great help from Nick Morris at the Design People, who's technically building a lot of this. And then in recent weeks, Dave has really focused his job on getting a great deal of content onto the site. That has not been easy, and some really long hours by some people. As you can see, this is a very different sort of fresh look. This does not look like the NSWPA's homepage. We're really wanting to modernize this look, appeal to new generations of players. We've also clearly rebranded it, got very different colors and the like. A lot of thought has gone into the layout of this page. Sometimes people think websites are just designed by subjective preference. While there's an element of that, there's quite a lot of thinking here, and be happy to elaborate on any aspect of that if you would like me to. We hope it strikes the right balance, but yeah, good to hear your feedback, good or bad. Now, I'll give you a quick sort of navigation of the site, just sort of the highlights. So firstly, the overall impression of the site. We followed some sort of more modern basic design principles here. We've tried to make the site look clean, make it look fresher, and particularly appeal to younger and a new generation of player that we need to go and attract. We've also used a lot of white space, very different from the current site. We think that makes it more friendly. It's a little less intimidating to somebody. Imagine being new to Bridge or contemplating Bridge, and you go to the homepage of the current site, and there's all this content. Where do you click? Where do you go? So it does need to be a far more welcoming sort of shopfront window to prospective players. We've also used substantially larger fonts, as I mentioned, important for some vision impaired members. And we also importantly have to make the website work on multiple devices. So just to sort of emulate that for a minute, I will show you if we drag this website to a different size screen. So that's what it might look like on a tablet. And then if you take it to a mobile size, it's going to look something like this. And you can see how all the content moves around and you can still view it quite easily. Now, that might not be obvious to people, but there is a great deal of logic that has to be built into the website to make sure that that works okay, to work on any device of any size. And if you were to change the device from landscape to portrait mode, you would be getting a slightly different experience, but all the content would still be visible and it should all still be readable. So just a quick review of the home page. We have welcome message, again, trying to be more friendly. We have retained latest news at the top, similar to what the NSWBA site has done. That might have a slightly different emphasis in future, but still importantly, that's going to be about community building. You'll see some changes in type of tone of marketing communications that we put out on the site. We also have some helpful links. This is partly to help migrate behavior from the old site to the new. These should assist. This quite large prominent banner is really about promoting, providing assistance to people who want to learn when they've actually landed on this page. So should we have any kind of campaign attracting prospective learners, they could come here and click on this banner and we would be able to assist them through that. Again, very different sort of emphasis and a focus on growth. We still focus on or highlight upcoming events, but a limited number. We don't have as many as the current site. We think that these are the more relevant ones. Again, this has got to work on mobile and on tablet. You just can't get all those links and all those events straight away. You can, of course, also view a full calendar. Importantly for us and community building, we really need to build a good database of subscribers for a newsletter. We are working on a newsletter. You might have received that already. If you have not received that or have not subscribed, please go to this homepage and complete this form, and we can send you a newsletter. Those will be monthly. We're working on how to revitalize that, and there's still a few iterations to come. That covers the homepage. Now, a few things at the top of the screen here. This is the primary navigation bar. This is slightly different to the current one. We've really evolved that to be more natural language and focus on the areas that align with the strategic thinking about the growth of the community and development of the community. So just going through each of these briefly. Underneath events, there is a calendar, somewhat similar to what you have today. But you can see finished events, current events, and future events coming up with some far simplified filters, again, which work quite well on different devices. There is other stuff underneath events. You can look at key things about regulations. You can see a summary of systems. There are some extra information which people need for certain types of events. And again, how to help people play on RealBridge. Quite a few people haven't played online and might need some level of assistance. That area is not radically different from what we have today in terms of content. What is quite different is underneath play and learn. So first of all, find a club. We have information on the current site that's about find a club. And so if you come to this website and you allow the website to know where you are, it can actually automatically detect the nearest clubs. So let's say you were in Bathurst, for example, and you wanted to see clubs within 100 kilometers, it would show what that is. If you didn't enter Bathurst, it would automatically know what your location was and you'd be able to help find easy clubs. This list on the left-hand side then shows the relevant clubs that are actually appearing in that map. That very new and different feature. In the past, we asked clubs to update their contact information on the website, all kinds of name, email address, phone number for several key roles within the club. We've got some privacy concerns, even identity theft concerns regarding that, and we are not going to publish that, and we're not going to require clubs update that information. All clubs need to do is give us a link to their website and a link to their Facebook group, should they have one or both. For most clubs, we have that information already. Should either of those change, please let us know. The only time you really need to let us know, besides changing your website or your Facebook group, is should your physical address change. And then we can change this physical address here. If that were to happen, which I don't think will be very often, get hold of our office and we can assist you with that. Next thing underneath Play and Learn is lessons. So this area is still being reformatted, but fundamentally it's quite a different area from what we've had in the past. First up, what we'd like to do here is promote all lessons of all levels in any club in New South Wales. And these will automatically be updated. And what clubs would need to do if they'd like to have their lessons added to this is click the link and complete the form for us, and we will promote your lesson here. The other thing we will do is assist on self-guided learning. A lot of people, particularly younger people, feel they can teach themselves, and several do, or at least supplement what they might learn in other lessons. So we have a lot of content here that's aimed at doing that. There is information about how to play learn certain aspects, and a whole lot of other links. There's a heap of information here, which we're in the process of tweaking, I think maybe just to simplify it a bit, and we'll probably create a few more pages than we currently have. The last thing that we have is a significant change to assist in growth. As I mentioned, Bridge New South Wales is focusing on growth, and what we are doing is helping all clubs have a beginner's course. It's quite disturbing for us that 55% of clubs in New South Wales have no beginners lessons at the moment and don't plan to have them. That's really going to create a headache not too many years away as clubs are just stopping growing. So what we're planning to do is to make this as easy as possible for them to teach. Part of that, and just the first phase of that, is giving them, all clubs, all teachers, for free, relevant information that they can use to give students, create handouts, notes for teachers. They can have actual hands, dealing files, and the like. This content is still being loaded. There is a heap of work that's occurred here, particularly thanks to Steve English, who's on this call, who's chair of the Education Committee, and Rakesh Kumar, who's written a great deal of this, but also significant and valuable contributions from Derek Brown, Nick Hughes, and Wing Roberts. We have some information to demystify competitive bridge, which is helpful to help people start to play in events. We explain some ethics issues, we talk about master points, and there's some additional information about youth, which is important to our future of the game. The third area of the site is around club resources. So you'll see here we have growing your club, managing your club, hosting a congress, and then information for teachers. What we've really done is rewrite a whole lot of old content and create a large amount of additional content that's really designed to be practical advice for clubs, trying to help them grow, trying to help them manage themselves more efficiently, learn from other clubs and the like. Heaps of work here from the club and community group run by Glenda. Next is the directing tab. Now, directing has been a somewhat underloved area, I think, of the Bridge New South Wales community. We're getting a great deal of support there, particularly from John McElrath, who's doing an amazing job, and he has created all this content that's here, just to explain what directing really is, and then have information about how you'd actually become accredited, different levels of that. Then directors having exams and further improvement. We also have a list of directors in New South Wales. This is to help clubs be able to find directors to run their sessions or find directors to run their events. This has not really been accessible to people in the past, and I think it'll be a helpful resource for clubs to be able to use. there are certain directing regulation information that we think is worth clarifying for players and for directors alike. There is additional technical stuff about movements and other support for directors. The fifth area here is around publications. We have this new newsletter that I've mentioned. First up, talk about the news that we've actually published. You saw the homepage had a couple of news items. If you've missed some of those, you'd like to see things that have already been published, you can click through to here and view the relevant articles. With each one, you click on read more and read the actual article. The second point underneath publications is about our newsletter called Bridging New South Wales. We've issued 3 of these. The 4th one for December will go out in the next couple of weeks, I think. And we will be making further changes to this early in the new year. If any of you have skills at editing or would like to write a regular article, some sort of column for this newsletter, please get in touch. Would very much like to hear and would love to be able to have your help either edit the whole thing or assist in certain components of this. I think it's a really important pillar for us to be able to communicate with the community generally, talk about clubs, alert them to changes and things of value that have occurred, and also talk to players about key events. Attached to these newsletters, we also have any flyers that clubs have created about upcoming events, and we would also alert recipients to courses that might be of interest. Underneath publications, we again are making it easy for people to subscribe to the newsletter, similar to what you saw on the home page. There are some publications that are in the old website that some people might find of value, and we've provided access to these here should people need to go back and look at some of those. We also have some sort of formal guidance to players regarding alerting, appeals, and etiquette. Finally, here we have information about Bridge New South Wales. Some of this hasn't been all uploaded. There are a few gaps like this on the site, but a summary of the organisation. We also have information, say, about the board and council, and you can find out about several of the volunteers that are involved. If you are a councillor and you haven't given us your information, you're on this call, please do get that today as soon as possible. We have information as well about the committees. We have several committees in the organisation, and just to make this clear about what the various committees do and who the volunteers are, please come here and have a look. We are working on a new strategy, as I mentioned. That's not currently loaded on the site. I guess that's going to go up in the next couple of weeks or so. There's a few things that we're needing to discuss, debate there. It's not all resolved. I think broadly we're on the same page, but not quite ready to release that to the community. There'll be information here about the annual general meeting and our constitution and bylaws under which govern the organisation. There's information about Bridge globally. You might be interested in its history or the World Bridge Federation, sort of wider context internationally, some relevant links there for you, and then also the information about the ABF. There is an honour roll of people who've made significant contributions to the New South Wales peak body over many, many years. Important that we recognise them. And then a list of other links that we think the community would find of value. Many people might to find MyABF, again, we're promoting that, and have the ability for you to contact us if you want to come to this page. That just gives you a rough idea of the site and the content that we have. Now, just briefly talking about what's going to happen from this point. We have made what we call the soft launch of this site. It is accessible right now if you wish, or immediately after this webinar. You're welcome to go to bridgenewsouthwales.com.au. You can see the URL here at the top. Please go to that on any device and see what you think. It should be very different to going to nswba.com.au. Please give us any feedback again. It is helpful for us to know which device you are on, perhaps, and if you could send a screenshot of the issue, that might help us understand what it is you're talking about, make sure we're on the same page, literally, as you, to know what point you're raising. We expect to promote this new site next week, depending on finalization, including some content. We've got a bit of work to do, content to add. And with that out in about a week's time, we expect to be able to have the hard launch very early in January. So a hard launch, for anyone who's not aware of that, is when somebody goes to nswba.com.au, they type in that address or click on a link or click on any email or something that sends them to that, they will be redirected to this site and be taken to the homepage. There will probably be some change that people are going to have to get used to. It is not possible to incrementally evolve the old site. Again, it's built on technology that is no longer supported. There's no point in building on that. We really had to start again. But that means there'll be quite a lot of change. And there will be a bit of getting used to. We have to figure out what's really a problem, what's not. We might well have to make some further tweaks, and that's why your feedback is important, both feedback now and after the launch. We hope we've got a lot right, and hope the community see in time the value and the sort of new direction and focus that the site has. Again, very different to the old. If you have feedback and would like to get hold of me, please email me on jakeleeandrew@gmail.com. I will put that address in the chat shortly. Overall, we hope that you do see the emphasis on growth and you believe that we've balanced this correctly, looking at appealing to more players, a greater focus on learning. We are servicing clubs more than we have in the past, reducing their admin burden, trying to give them quite practical advice. And importantly, we're really trying to work on directing and teaching key pillars of our community. And we're going to help so those sub-communities have a greater focus and much greater attention, additional content on the website. We also need to service key players, particularly top event players. We've still got a whole lot of that information on here about events that are coming up, and broadly foster greater community development and alignment. The website is also supported by an evolving newsletter that I've mentioned. We've already made some changes and reformatted that. You'll see more of that. We also have a greater Facebook presence. Sorry, that's not there right now, but there is a Bridge New South Wales Facebook page. And then newly branded emails, which would have included the one I think most of you would have come and registered for this webinar on by receiving that email. That gives you a sense of some of the sort of new branding changes that we have proposed. I'm pleased to say that we are at this point a few minutes early, and very interested to hear which comments, questions you've got. Once we've gone through those, people are welcome to speak up and share the comments they've got. I'll stop sharing at this point and people can chime in.
Well, let me just start by mentioning the question from Moretz.
Yes.
Which was to do with the soft launch versus hard launch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how do we plan to manage access to the new site between now and hard launch? Do we have competing live sites? I think you can probably deal with that.
The primary site remains the current site. That is nswba.com.au site. That's where everyone should continue to go until we do the hard launch of the new site early in January. The new site is not complete, and we have to add additional content there. So yes, it is findable, but it should really only be found by people when we've told them to go and have a look at the new site, but it's no longer, it's not the primary site yet. So we will contain that within messaging, I think.
Worth mentioning that there's a few things that are through the new site just take you to the old site anyway. So whilst we're in soft launch.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm not really comfortable with that response.
Right.
Okay.
I think just saying our people shouldn't find it and they shouldn't go there. There's about 41 people on this call alone. It's not a very hard address to guess.
Sure,
And
I'm quite happy
it will
to
lead
go
to
there.
confusion. I would
Okay.
recommend something a little bit more.
I think by going with the soft launch has prompted a whole lot of people to actually comment, engage, and provide content. And so I'm very much not planning to stop access to that. We have removed the password for people to access it. What we could do is have a more prominent message on the homepage for anyone who finds it to just explain this. Please go to nswba.com.au for anything until this site is complete, and it is not complete now. We could certainly have that. Would that cover your concern, Moritz?
That would be the minimum, yes. It's just people going to go look for events or results or something, and they get confused, and you're going to get a lot of noise and distraction.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Fair point. We still have to go and create the comms to tell people that it exists, and we can highlight that. And I think, yeah, we could have a message on the site making that clearer still. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dave?
I was just going to say that the other thing is that the list of events for next year will be, well, the ones that are scheduled, as in the calendar, will be all on the site by hopefully the end of this week. And we're lucky that December is a relatively quiet time. The few December events that are on are also on both sites. And in reality, most of all what that calendar does is directs you to my ABF.
Yep. Thank you. Was there another question, Dave? So there's
not a lot of questions.
Would people like to speak up? You can take your unmute yourselves and ask a question if you wish. We now have time. Good to hear comments as well. Good, bad, indifferent, or questions. Go ahead, somebody.
Perhaps I could break.
I have a question. Oh,
Who's that?
Yes. No.
I was just going to say, I'm looking in on this for our president, so she wouldn't be able to have a look at this site to give you an opinion on it, because I'm quite a novice and I'm just taking notes, and I'll pass the information on to her.
She could access it, Verna. All she needs to do is on her computer type bridgeNSW.com.au.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone can do that. That's Moritz's concern. Did people do that by accident somehow, or perhaps cause, when they do, that they find an incomplete website? It's certainly.
Okay.
Did you have any other thoughts, Verna, or what's your impression?
I think it's very good. From what I see, as I say, I'm a bit of a novice, but in looking, there's a lot more information available, which we didn't see before.
Mm-hmm. I think being a novice is a good place to come from. We are not wanting expertise here.
Yes, yes.
Being a novice is representing what people in this community are. We're not looking for tech wizards or
No,
web design experience. You
No,
use the
but,
consumer of the site, and
I'm-
it's targeted at you. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yes. Because I've just started helping at our bridge club with setting up bridge mates and things through our computer and getting a better understanding of how it's all set up, you know.
It would be very useful to find out your views of the content when you look at some of the stuff about helping with a club as it develops. It's not all there yet, but it's all
Yes.
getting in
And
there.
the directing is a very interesting one for our club at the moment because we have a shortage of directors.
Which club is that?
Castle Hill and Districts.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for that. We'll Mr. McElrath is making a note as we speak.
Does anyone else have a question or comment?
I've got one from Kevin Hughes.
Yes, please.
And you can show that how this works. He's asked, said the old website segregated a calendar into state events, congresses, etc. Will this be the same for the new website? So you could show the calendar filter facility.
So that, yes, it is a little different. You're quite right. So when you have a look at the calendar, you can look here as a filter for event hosts. These are
You've got
the
to
options.
share first, Jake.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Thank you. I forgot I had stopped sharing. Give me a second. You can see? Everyone can see, yep.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So underneath events, and you go to calendar, this page would appear. So say you were looking at future events, you can look at the options of different type of event hosts. We're using slightly different terminology here. We have merged things where previously it referred to NSWBA and state, and we're really just talking about Bridge New South Wales events. I think for most players, there's not a huge amount of difference in that for simplicity. But so you could look at Bridge New South Wales or congresses, for example. So these would be congresses published by clubs. Again, don't have all the information in for next year in this calendar, but you would see here those by clubs. If you were to look for all hosts, you could also say just filter for online events, for example, or face-to-face events. And does that cover your question, Kevin? I can't see Kevin or hear Kevin. Do we have a no? Okay. But please.
I'm here, but I'm being muted. I just put a comment there. So what I'll do is I'll look at website side by side eventually, and just comment further from there. So thanks.
That would be great. If you've got concerns, please speak up. Or if you really like it, it would be good to know as well. We have intentionally tried to simplify. I think it would work better than the old one, which was a bit confusing and unnecessarily complex, I think. Yep. Who is next? Who'd like to comment, even if it's just an impression or yes, Phil.
Sorry, I was talking and I was talking to have my microphone off. Roger's asked about how the recording for this meeting will be able to be accessed. I'll do the same as I did last time, which was I'll save a copy of the whole thing to a YouTube channel, and the link for that can be distributed. YouTube channel is just the easiest way to share a video. Got a comment from Michael Pemberton for you, Jake. Thank you for the excellent presentation. I like the emphasis on education, especially directed development.
Great. Thank you, Michael. I think John McElrath is on this. Yes, I'm sure he will be pleased at that. Yes, John's there. Yeah, it's certainly something that's been needed and probably a little bit underloved for some time. Yeah. Look, watch the space about what we're going to be doing in the directing community.
Philip's made an interesting comment, which I think is one I don't know how to deal with, quite frankly. He's pointed out that in the honour roll we've got sexist titles because we still refer to someone like Miss Mary McMahon, because that is a complete exact what the honour roll is today, as per the requirements of the separation agreement, was that it's the old New South Wales Bridge Association Life members list. So that's an exact replica of what's on the on a board in the SBC. So we might have a might refer that to the board for a conversation as whether they want to.
Yeah, it's not obvious exactly what we're going to do there. Oops.
Right. So you see, if you go back in time to in the olden days, they'd do the Mrs. Greta and the Miss M. McMahon.
Yep.
Very old world, and
Yep.
I think there's a good argument, which is the one that Philip's making. We know the first names of most of these people.
We should just put them in.
So we
Yep.
should put the first names in. As you can see, the first names are in for the latter ones. I'll put it to the board and we'll get a quick. I don't think I'm going to
Good
put it
point.
to the board. We'll just change that.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Dave, come through? Or would people who Barry's waving? It looks like
Barry, are you waving?
You're on mute, by the way. If you want to speak, you need to unmute yourself in the bottom left-hand corner.
He's okay.
He's good. Okay.
Dave, that YouTube channel, what is the title of it?
You'll get. We'll send out a link.
Yeah.
To everybody who's on the call.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we'll probably put it in a link to all clubs when we do the announcement anyway.
Yep.
Sure.
We're planning to publicize this. Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Ben will take care of all that, but I'll get it onto YouTube. He'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, everyone, I'll send out a follow-up email tomorrow with the link to the video. And it's going to be on a Bridge New South Wales channel, which I've just created.
Mm-hmm.
You can forward that email to anybody you need to. Thank you.
Right. Okay. That sounds good. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
It's Anne Tonner here from Orange. I'd just like to say I see a lot to like about the new website. I particularly like how it's cleaner and lots of white space. I love that it's adaptable for the various devices, because as I see the younger guys come through, often they're on their mobile phones, and it's been raised as an issue with us at the Orange Bridge Club around our website presence on the smaller devices. I just love the cleanness of it. I think it still has the dimensions or all the information. I'm imagining it's still got all the information there, but it's sort of tidied up in a way that it makes it easier to look for what you're looking for. And I particularly love the emphasis on directing and player development and teacher support. I think along with many bridge clubs who struggle to do that, we've been lucky that we've had a couple of really strong volunteers who've been willing to teach. But if those people need to step back and others need to step forward, it's lovely to see the support there for them in the provision of teaching material. So well done. I think you're on a good path with this.
Thank you. Just to respond to that, somewhat I think Bridge generally, not a New South Wales problem, has a bit of an image problem. And how do we attract new generations to play the game? How do we get back on a growth path? And I could imagine somebody who's younger than the typical current Bridge player going onto the current site. That is not a great first impression. It's quite scary, could be a bit intimidating, there's a lot of information, and it certainly doesn't look modern. So having a more modern shop front window perhaps onto prospective new players is really, really important. The simplification of the design and of the content is no accident, and that actually takes an incredible amount of work to try to work out how to group things and use fewer words and the like. That is not easy, and that's taken a great deal of effort. I don't know how many massive spreadsheets I've got trying to map things and try to get it simpler and simpler. I don't know how many versions. So it's great that you noticed that. Thank you.
I wanted to just do that bit for you as well, Jake. Anna, the two pieces you mentioned, the responsiveness to devices and an architecture of information that makes sense, that's really easy to navigate, were the two things that Jake spent months driving us all mad to get right. So he really has been an excellent project leader in that sense, and as I said, drove some of us mad in the process. the end point justifies all the work.
So just on the last thing that you're raising, and about the focus on directors, say teachers and club support, that is what you see on the website. What that really is giving you an insight into what's happening and the change and thinking that's happening at Bridge New South Wales. That's not a website project per se. That's a reflection of the organizational thinking and about where we want to go and where we want to put our efforts. Yep.
That's fantastic. And I think it's lovely that the website reflects that. So that's two reasons to cheer, really, two layers of reasons to cheer.
Thank you.
But yeah, well done with the clean space. It's not easy to present materials in a way that makes navigating through them effortless and intuitive. So well done.
Taxonomy or the sort of navigation thing has been a huge effort. Correct. Any concerns you have, Anne? Anything that you were expecting and is not there or initially seemed confusing? You're on mute, I think, Anne.
Sorry, Jake. Not at this stage. I'm happy to take a closer look, but my first impressions are the ones that I was talking about.
Right. Well, good first impression matters. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Please go. Don't feel intimidated because you couldn't follow, you didn't know what I meant, what I said. Maybe I used the wrong word. I try to intentionally speak in very simple terms regarding web stuff, and yeah, I'm not trying to dazzle people with jargon. So if you couldn't follow and I used the wrong word, please ask and I can try to clarify.
Oh, hi, this is Ronnie from Kiama.
Hi, Ronnie.
I'd just like to say I've never bothered to go on the New South Wales Bridge website. I've been on the ABF and our local one. So I think now I probably would, that there's self-guided learning and helping with beginners lessons and etiquette and stuff. And I think it's important that you're actually doing something for clubs, because I wouldn't have bothered. I've never bothered to go on the website before.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think we're really wanting to help evolve and build this community, as I've mentioned, and the only way you're going to come to the website is if you actually see value there. So again, trying to hold a window onto some of the things that we're starting to do. I'm sure in time, this website's not going to launch and be finished come the first week of January.
Yeah,
There's going to be years and years of additional content and kind of how we learn how to improve. Yeah, so if you did have thoughts after using it, Ronnie, please speak up and say this would be helpful to other clubs, or you might have an insight that you think other clubs would find of value. Please give that to us and we can share it with the whole community. If everyone behaves that way, we can kind of leverage off each other. You know, we're not trying to do this on our own. We need to be leaning off each other, and it'll make a far more efficient, future, a stronger future for us all. Anybody else? Quite a few, I'm afraid I don't know. If the alternative is also to have people who've been significantly involved in this, Steve or John or Glenda, you might have things that you think I missed that you wanted to raise. No?
No, covered it pretty well.
No, I think the only thing I'd like to raise, Jake, is I like to hear all the comments that people have made about the directing part of it. And I certainly wish to hear more from them, because the bottom line is, if they haven't noticed, is that we do need directors. We are very, very short in this state, and we need to start from the bottom up and try and improve the not just the number of directors, but the education of directors is so very, very important as well, to make sure that they're doing the best job that they can. It's up to us to assist them in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I'm glad you mentioned that, John, because a friend of mine just recently, earlier this year, volunteered to become a director, do the exam, and the education just wasn't there. She went to the classes, but a very important thing movement. You know, when you're setting it up, the movement of the game, it wasn't covered. It was just read chapter so-and-so or whatever. And she didn't quite understand it. And of course, when she did the exam, it took 3 months to get a response.
Lerner, thank
You
you.
know, and
That situation will change.
I hope so, because it's very hard to get people to, number one, volunteer to be directors or learn to the directing. And then when the education isn't there, it's very hard.
Helpful comments, thank you.
But can I just ask, sorry, I know this is a bizarre question, but oh no, actually I'll get hold of you later. Your Castle Hill, which Castle Hill? Castle Hill District, not ARV.
No, we're at Castle Hill Country Club.
Okay. I'll get in touch with you later to ask them more detailed questions about that.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. We've got a few minutes left. Just quickly, just to wrap up, please, would you take your committees through the site? It's not urgent, but it'd be good in the next few weeks if you could take them through it. Again, you can access it yourself straight away after this on any device. If they have any comments, please send the comments. And particularly if you could try to take a screenshot of what it is you're looking at and attach those to your comments so that we know what that is. Sometimes it's also helpful to know which device you're actually on. There can be issues, say you were on an Android device or an Apple device or a tablet or the like. That can help us. Please, would you all sign up for the newsletter if you've not already done so? And please encourage all members of your club, not just your committee, but all members of your club to actually sign up with this newsletter. There are heaps of things that I think are coming in there that will be of interest to everyone in the community. Thirdly, we will probably have the next webinar regarding the beginners course. That's the work that Steve English, particularly, and Rakesh, Derek Brown, Wing, and Nick Hughes have worked on. Really trying to get all clubs in New South Wales to have a beginner's course. I think that is a tall ask, but yeah, having people aware of that is helpful. That is not just for people who don't have a beginner's course and might want to start it. I think it's relevant for all teachers to attend that so they know what's available to help improve the quality of what they offer. There might be some resources that they don't have, or perhaps for them to understand the issues that are perhaps happening at a neighboring club where they could assist. I think clubs are going to have to help each other to be able to have beginner courses. It's not a standalone issue, and it's not something that we can do entirely through the office. Clubs are going to have to help each other. And then lastly, to expect the hard launch sometime early in January. If you've got comments, questions, yeah, you're welcome to get hold of me. As I said, I was going to give you my email address. I will busy put that in the chat now. You're welcome to get hold of me directly. Just checking I got that right. Yep. Okay, you can. Oh no, hang on a sec. That's only going to Dave.
I'll do it for you.
No, I've just done it. There you go. Thank you. So you can see my email address there. You can cut and paste it or write it down, and you can email me directly. Drowning a bit in email at the moment, so I might not respond immediately, but yeah, please send it through and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, that's it, and we're 5 minutes early.
Well, yeah, thank you, Jake. I will.
Yes.
I've got a couple of other thank yous in here for the fabulous comment about the fabulous effort and great to hear about the support for the educational material, and another one saying thank you for the presentation, great to see you covering teachers and directors. So it is representing well the direction of Bridge New South Wales. So thank you all for participating. As I said, Ben will send out the link tomorrow once he gets the recording from me, and you'll be hearing more about future webinars through our various channels. Thanks all for attending.